Hey everybody, John Millen with Benefit Hackers. Hey, I want to talk about today when it's okay to not sell your service or not sell your product. Today was a day like that where I just did not feel comfortable proceeding with the benefit package that the company was interested in and looking into. And I think it's really refreshing and to be able to basically tell a company owner that, hey, rather than doing a full-blown proposal, I think you should consider something else or do some more digging or some more research. And I will tell you, I don't know if I've always been that way. Like when I first started, in business, long time ago, I probably tried to force proposals in everywhere I could, right? Try to figure out a way to do a presentation, figure out a way and see what they say. But I'm learning over time that sometimes it's best to take a pause and not just jump to a proposal. And that's what happened today. So quick story, quick recap on how it's okay to say no to a potential sale, some temporarily. Maybe for the future, it'll come around in a different way, but I think it's always the best thing. And based on the reaction from the two individuals I presented to today, they were really grateful for the 45 minutes that I spent on the phone with them, reviewing what I found. And then I probably spent another hour and a half, maybe 2 hours in prepping for it to help them out. So here's the scenario. A company, they have about 140 people on payroll. The issue is that most of them work less than 30 hours per week. So they have a lot of people that work just a few hours per week. And so when we do the calculation, I don't know if you're familiar with health and group medical, so I'll outline a couple key learning points that I conveyed today to them that I think really helped. So it's not just the number of employees that a company has that determines whether or not they need group medical insurance. It's the number of full-time equivalent employees. It's a calculation that takes an average of all the employees, whether they're working 1 hour or 40 hours, and adds them up and gives kind of like a composite number. And it's actually not a bad idea, because otherwise people would hire everyone to work just 28 hours and have 100 people working 28 hours and think they don't have to offer group medical and try to get around the requirement. But in essence, what happens is you have enough people working 28 hours, your full-time equivalent number is over 50. So if you have more than 50 full-time equivalent employees, you have to offer group medical in most cases, right? This is generally speaking. So this particular company that I'm talking to is right under 50 FTEs. They're at like between 40 and 47, somewhere in that. They're bouncing around. And so, and even on average, if you look back, it's really, really close to 50. So it's ultimately going to be their decision whether or not they want to do group medical. Because some months they do go over 50, then they drop below for months. So it's really, really close. And I'm not an employment law attorney. I'm not the owner of the company. I'm just giving them some advice based on what I know. So that was the first thing we talked about. There was a little bit of misunderstanding about that. Second is the requirements from the carriers, medical carriers, when you decide to offer group medical, they're going to want typically 50% participation. And so and now there's some valid waivers that's called, where like if someone has TRICARE, or they have a spouse's plan, or they have Medicaid or Medicare, every carrier is a little different. So there's these requirements of participation. They want a minimum usually of around 50%, depending on the waiver situation, to offer it, because they don't want what's called adverse selection, where all of the people that really need health insurance, that use it a lot, jump into the plan. They need to spread the risk. So that's a factor of insurance. So that was a factor we talked about. They're only paying a minimum, usually about 50% of employee only, of the people that take the coverage. So there was a misunderstanding there that if they offered group medical, that all the employees had to take it, which is not true. There was a misunderstanding that if they're on a spouse's plan, they have to take it or they get penalized. So there's we cleared up a few things on that. And at the end of the day, we had a list of about 23, 24 people that were working over 30 hours per week on average. So of all the 140 people, there were only 30 that consistently were working over 30 hours a week. So according to the regulation, legally, that's kind of the minimum. And then there's a waiting period of the maximum 90 days you can wait before offering group medical. And so we did the list, and I'm like, okay, there's these 24 people. And I also had their annual incomes. And I looked at the incomes and like, you know, some of these incomes are fairly low. Is this their full-time income? Is this a part-time income? Are they getting income somewhere else? Because some of the levels were eligible to qualify for Medicaid in Virginia. And Medicaid's available for people that can't afford health insurance. In the past, it was normally just for children. The children can get Medicaid, the parent didn't, but now some things have changed in Virginia that allows parents, adults, and children to get it, which I think is great, because if you don't have enough money, you're not going to be able to afford a group medical plan, even if the employer pays half. So, and Medicaid, at least in Virginia, is fairly decent coverage, and it's accepted in most places. So it's really the way to go. So I looked at that and said, you know, man, we got to really figure out whether these people even have anything now, because they may already have Medicaid. And if so, I'm not going to, it wouldn't make sense to recommend them to come onto a group plan that cost them money and was worse coverage. So in most cases. So that was a factor we talked about. So they're going to survey or talk to these 20 some employees and just get a poll of, do they have health insurance? And if so, where do they get it? To get an idea of what's our real population of people here that are eligible for the insurance. Now, there's a lot more complexities that I'm not getting into. This is just a very surface conversation today. You know, there's some requirements of participation by the carrier, like who do you count? So I'm trying to keep it simple. The point is, when I was doing my research before I got on the call, I didn't do a full-blown proposal. I just took some snapshots of some things from their payroll system, from Medicaid. I also looked at their census they sent me. I did run some quick relative costs on some plans just to give them a feel for the cost. Like, people don't have any idea what it costs. So I did run some quotes based on the 24 people to give them an idea. And the conversation went great. You know, we talked about, let's do some more research. Let's not jump to the conclusion. You can do this anytime. They kind of thought they had to do it now to make it effective January 1. And I said, if you decide to do a group medical plan, you can do it anytime you want. So they didn't know that. So they were kind of under the pressure to get it done. I'm like, you know, let's not rush this. You know, my job, I said at the end, my job is not just to sell you insurance. My job is to advise you the best that I can. And there were some things that came up that were more employment law. I'm like, hey, I'm not sure about that piece. You need to, before you proceed with that course of action, my suggestion is that you get a second advice, because I don't understand all the nuances of employment law when it comes to hiring people, what you can ask them, and all that stuff. So there were definitely some areas that were outside my comfort level, and I'm at this point, I'm transparent. I'm like, you know, I don't know that piece. If I don't know, I'm going to tell you. And if I can find the answer, I will. So that came up a few times. All in all, at the end of the call, I said, you know, there's some other ways that you can build a benefits package that helps attract and retain employees other than core medical. And one of the individuals spoke up and said, funny you say that, because one thing that I think we've been hearing about and people have been asking about is short-term disability insurance. And I said, absolutely. That is exactly where I was heading. There are benefit programs other than core medical that you can pay for as a base and then allow the employee to buy more if they want it, but you're providing a base package of really high value, relatively low cost benefits. And they proceeded to talk also about the thing where you can call a doctor on the phone, you know, instead of going to the emergency room. And I said, definitely. I'm like, they're reading into my mind. I said, that's telemedicine, and we have a zero copay. I explained that. And I said, the other thing we offer is an accident plan, and we can do dental. And they're like, oh, wow, how much is all that stuff? I mean, what's the average cost? And I had just done a proposal for another company, and I pulled it out. I said that was $66 a month per employee. And they said, that's for the telemedicine. How much is it for all the other pieces? I said, no, 66 a month for all three of those. They were like, oh my God, that's not bad at all. Now, this wasn't intentional by me showing them the group medical rates before. It's just what it is. Like, if you want to bring in group medical, I'm going to show you, here's your 50%. And I laid that out on a base plan, which wasn't a bad plan at all, actually. They were seeing $150 to $300 per month based on the age of the employee. That was the employer cost. So when I said $66, like, wow, that's really great. I said, yeah, we've been doing it a number of different times for clients, and it's a great fit. It's called our Premium Plus package. So that might be where this heads, because I'm not yet, I don't think that it makes sense unless, I should say, I'm going to wait till they come back with more information about the 20-some employees. Then we can make a more detailed, because they might find that none of them have health insurance. None of them qualify for a subsidy on the Affordable Care Act. None of them have TRICARE. It could be predominantly there's a big area of need that's not being addressed, and we're certainly address it. So I wanted to share that. It was very refreshing. I love these kind of calls where you're just helping people and you see where it goes and you add value and you answer questions to the best of your ability. And when you get into an area that you're not comfortable with, I said, that's a little bit outside my comfort zone there. But they were just flushing things out over the phone, and I helped them do that. So hope this is beneficial. This is the type of environment that we really thrive in. So if you want more information, or if you're listening and you just want maybe a second opinion, you can go to hackmybenefits.com, fill out a quick little form, and it has your name and number, and I'll reach out to you. hackmybenefits.com. So thanks for listening. Hope you have a great night. We'll talk soon.